research facility that's gone completely dark. No comms, no failsafes, no response. What they find inside was never meant to be found. If you're into dark, gritty, SCP-style stories filled with containment breaches, haunted tech, and high-stake black ops, you found your frequency. Hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for all future transmissions from Outpost Romeo 9. Location: Blacksite Hangar, Mobile Staging Bay 3. Time: 0213 UTC. Classification: Romeo 9 Black. The secure terminal hissed to life. The lines of red text flickered against the dim glow of the hangar's sodium lights. A single glyph pulsed on screen. The oversight seal, fractured, bleeding static across its edges. Commander Harbour stood motionless before the screen, reading the words he already knew would be there. Clearance granted. Status: Romeo 9. Target: Bastion T3. Protocol: Veil Needle. He exhaled, sharp and steady, then reached for the comm at his collar. Romeo 9, he said quietly. Report to command in 5. His voice carried across the bay, cutting through in the metallic hum of generators, the hiss of coolant lines, and the distant thump of hangar bays coming online. Harbour made his way into the command room. The light flickered to life. Being first to arrive, he plugged in his data slate into the command room terminal. The large holographic table in front of him hummed and lit up. He pulled up the mission briefing. Arrival. Wraith. She entered first. No sound, no announcement. Wraith moved like a shadow wrapped in matte black recon armor, visor dim, gate liquid and controlled. She was a recon and advanced infiltrator, with high clearance and anomalous spatial navigation. A specialist in pre-containment breach entry, her record showed consistent survivability under cognitohazard exposure, though she lost 3 minutes of time on a red level op and never spoke of it. Arrival. Talk. The next arrival was impossible to miss. A mechanical hiss accompanied the heavy step of a custom exo-brace. As Talk entered, a breach kit slung over one shoulder and a reinforced hull case in the other. Field engineer and demolitions expert, Talk was formerly attached to a Foundation research team salvage team. He built bombs like others wrote poetry, and treated every locked door as a personal insult. He grunted a greeting, dropped his gear with a metallic clang, and muttered something about old steel and hazard pay. Arrival. Sable. Sable stepped through without looking up from the signal tablet in his hands. Lines of corrupt waveform data streamed past on the display, as he murmured fragmentary code strings under his breath. He specialized in signal intelligence and cryptolinguistics, the team's ears in dead channels. His history with rogue transmissions and unstable languages put him on 3 different watch lists. He'd cracked signals no one else could even hear, and sometimes he replied to them. Arrival. Corinne. Last through the doors was Corinne. Surgical mask already on, gloves adjusted, white med pack, marked with biohazard orange slung neatly at his side. A former biohazard and trauma response medic, Corinne specialized in contamination protocols and live extraction under anomaly presence. He'd spent too long on hot zones where subjects didn't stay down, and he knew exactly when to run and when to burn everything behind him. He offered no greeting, just a nod. With all 5 assembled, the command doors sealed behind them. Harbour stepped to the center console and input the security code. The mission data unfolded across the screen. Bastion T3 has gone dark, he said. Echo protocol triggered at 0147. No fail-safes. No signals in or out. No staff movement for over 6 hours. One corrupted transmission, visuals unreadable, and audio as follows. A burst of layered static flooded the room. Reversed voices, overlapping speech, mechanical distortion, ended with what sounded like breathing through broken glass. Primary AI core is glass shot. Last status, unstable, possibly aware, possibly hostile. Anomalies on site, X-ray Romeo 77, Scarlatch, and an undocumented entity. Records end there. Rafe tilted her head. Any sign of Echo Team? Negative, Harbour replied. One recovered log, timestamp reads tomorrow. Talk scowled. What about facility infrastructure? 1950s sub-basement layout, experimental levels beneath R&D, containment locks at analog override. You'll have to go manual if glass shot is corrupted. We intercept anything else? Asked Sable. One trace. Echo pattern transmission of unknown origin. Possibly mimicry. He paused. Don't respond, just record. What about biohazards? Asked Corinne. Unknown. Burn protocols authorized. Assume airborne contamination is active. Concept of operations. AO, Bastion 2-3 Research Facility. Mission status greenlit. Protocol Veil Needle. Our objectives for this mission were to re-establish communications, assess threat origins, recover critical assets, contain or neutralize hostile anomalies. We will be inserting via low altitude VTOL drop via tethered descent. We'll land 600 meters south outside of the main facility access point, and Rafe will lead with recon sweep. I want tight stack formations, tactical halts at intervals for situational scans, and an FRV established near sublevel 2 for regroup if contact is made. Rules of engagement: fire and maneuver upon contact, use bounding overwatch in corridors, do not respond to unknown signals, and use ambush positions if terrain allows. For exfil, our primary will be to return to the drop zone. Our secondary will fall back to the west ridge 700 meters south. Comms blackout contingency is in place. Harbour looked over the team one last time. This isn't a sweep, it's an autopsy, and something down there is still twitching. No mistakes, stack tight, and no freelancing, alright? If one of you starts talking out of pattern, shoot first. The room fell silent, as the screen turned blood red and the glyph pulsed once more. Deployment coordinates locked, strike ready, clearance granted, status Romeo 9. Mobile staging bay 3, pre-deployment prep. Time 0236 UTC, status Operation Veil Needle, final staging. The command doors hissed open, releasing Romeo 9 back into the hangar, and now under red light loading, the VTOL awaited on the far pad, its twin rotors winding up in low growls, lights pulsing like a heartbeat. It had no markings, only matte black skin and reinforced thruster plates. Call sign, Silent Hook. They walked in silence, each carrying something different into the dark. Rafe peeled away from the group first, moving toward the recon lockers. She unsealed her matte black suit container with a hiss of negative pressure. Inside, a custom stealth frame, magnetized traction lining, and onboard environmental scrubbers and cognito hazard dampeners. She ran a diagnostic across her visor, dozens of anomaly parameters scrolled by in seconds. She didn't pack much. She never needed to. Talk knelt beside a reinforced case the size of a coffin. Inside, high-yield thermal breach chargers, analog lockpicks, portable arc cutter, and a scoped flesher launcher loaded with slug sabot mix. He pulled on his exo brace, hydraulic joints groaning, and tested it with a forward lunge. Still tuned for foundation bulkhead tolerances, Hope Bastion's made of the same cheap trash. He grabbed a pack of gum, chewed once, and stuck the wrapper to his chest plate like a badge. Sable was already working. Multiple signal tablets surrounded him on a bench, flickering blue-white in the red light. He tuned into fringe frequencies, listening to EM drift across an ocean of silence. No active comms, but something's bouncing through the ionosphere. Origin matches Bastion's sector. Modulation's wrong now. He saved the stream. and didn't tell anyone what it sounded like. Corinne finished inspecting the surgical adhesives on his field gloves, rolling each finger with practiced precision. A belt of labelled vials clicked into place at his hip, anticoagulants, nerve inhibitors, and bone mend foam, and 2 doses of blacklight suppressant. He affixed a micro-torch to the inside of his medpack and tested the ignition. Flame burned blue, then ultraviolet. Clean flame, he muttered. Harbour oversaw quietly, pacing beside the launch rail with his data slate in his hand, loading local map sites, override codes, and hazard logs into the team's uplink buffer. It blinked a warning. Glassshot connectivity, unresponsive. Site signal repeat 0%. He ignored it. Instead, he keyed in the tether sequence for the drop insertion and watched as the VTOL's undercarriage opened to receive the lines. 2 minutes to load in, he called. They assembled one last time at the foot of Silent Hook. There were no handshakes, no speeches, just the clunk of boots on steel and a single glance passed between each of them. Not a bond of trust, but of survival. The bay doors began to open. Cold air rushed in. Outside, the night was wide and waiting. Aerial approach. Time 0242 UTC. Status in transit. Operation Veil Needle. The VTOL knifed through the low clouds, hugging jagged ridges. Inside, red lights flood the cabin in blood-hued shadow. The silence is thick. Romeo 9 sits still, strapped into their tether harnesses, helmets sealed, and the rotor hum is barely audible through their audio dampening. Rafe adjusts her visor. Anomalies already flagging interference. Sable tweaks a private encrypted comms band. It spits back static, and then his own voice. Sable, quiet and disturbed. Nope. He shuts it off. Harbour spoke over comms. Target AO coming up. Signal blackout confirmed. Wind at 6 knots, southwest. Tether descent begins in 30. Corinne rubs a gloved hand over a sealed vial on his hip. Oxygenation suppressant primed, just in case. Torque cracks his neck. Doors, analog locks. Underground bunkers, classic. Love this crap. The red light turns yellow, then green. The cargo ramp splits open with a mechanical howl. Black forest stretches below. Bastion 2-3's rooftop barely visible in the clearing. Drop an order, says Harbour. Rafe, Torque, Sable and Corinne. I follow. Stuck tight, no chatter unless critical. Watch the dark, it watches back. Tether insertion. Time 0245 UTC. Status insertion initiated. One by one, Romeo 9 drops into the void. Carbon fiber tethers whispering through the wind. Boots touch down on wet earth with disciplined silence. They land in a tight circular formation at the forest edge. Fog clings low, static like against their armour. Harbour signals silently. A closed fist. The team holds position. Weapons up. 360-degree coverage. Time crawls. Stillness dominates. No birds, no wind. Just breath. Fog and the hum of something buried beneath. Corinne overcomes barely audible. Air's not clean. Feels thinned. Comms negative. No feedback. No noise floor. Dead sector say seal. Talk scoffing. Place looks like it's been half buried and pissed on. Classic foundation. Harbour spoke up in a low voice over comms. Rafe. Do a sweep. Pattern blue. 40 meters. Don't drift. Rafe is already gone. Silent and low, her matte black armour reflecting nothing. Her hood floods with layers of telemetry, terrain warping, EM shifts, and fractured heat trails. At the north facility wall, she finds a torn open service hatch, breached from the inside. Drag marks trail 5 meters, then vanish. A cluster of shattered floodlights hum with residual energy. Suddenly, time error, plus 0.4 seconds, then it corrects. Rafe logs it and moves back. Rafe, ingress point found. Hatch breach, inside out. Disturbance suggests forced exit. Low-level air distortion. Time spike occurred. Minimal, but real. She glances into the woods. Possible distortion field active. Logged. Stack up, said Harbour. Romeo 9 rises as one. Fluid, practiced, and forming up behind Rafe. Ahead, the scarred hulk of Bastion 2-3 looms. Cracked concrete and rusted steel. No lights, just the breath of something patient. Time 02:52 UTC. Status Facility breach. Tier 1 clearance zone. The northern hatch yawns open like a rusted jaw. Hinges bent inward, bolts sheared from within. Rafe steps in first. Weapon up, HUD alive. Interior temperature 7 Celsius. Humidity 64%. Particulate unknown. Romeo 9 enters in sequence. Rafe leads. Torque sweeps above and below. Sable scans for EM noise. Crane monitors vitals, and Harbour marks time and signal. They reach the inner door, partially open, forced inward, same pattern. Signals of panic exit, no return fire, entry failed from internal side, said Rafe. Torque knelt beside a panel. Overrides fused, no brute force, but something pulsed the door. Mark it, push through, said Harbour. Main corridor, Foundation Zone 1. Time 02:54 UTC. Status Tier 1 Advance. Romeo 9 steps into the main corridor. Peeling signage, dead lighting, and emergency strobes blink every 15 seconds. Suddenly, Sable holds up his hand. Wait, there it is again. He turns his receiver, low frequency pulse, one beat behind their steps, mimicking their movement. Something syncing with us, out of phase 1.3 seconds delay. Could be bleed, could be mimicry. Don't respond. Log and move, Harbour replied. The corridor opened wider, revealing a long stretch of reinforced hallway lined with observation windows and blast doors. Most were sealed, 2 were open. Inside one, a discarded Echo Team helmet, cracked, visor facing the ceiling. Corinne moved fast, scanned it, then held up a stop hand. Don't touch. No trauma on the outside. Internal frost pattern. Brain case, flash freeze, no obvious exit wound. Rafe stepped in for a closer scan. Vital trace detected. Faint, not human. She didn't say anything, just raised one finger. Contact possible. Lock formation, tactical halt. Rafe, sweep the next sector. Everyone else, establish fallback at this junction, replied Harbour. Rafe vanished forward into the flickering dark, stepping past the broken helmet, past the frozen trail that led nowhere, into a place where time had already come apart once. Time 02:57-0301 UTC. Status Movement halted. Active recon deployed. Harbour activated a tactical overlay on the wall using a portable node, projecting a low-cost schematic of Sublevel 1. It was incomplete. Multiple areas flagged as no data, including the zone Rafe was entering. Facility maps degraded. Manual entry only past this corridor. We're blind forward. Sable was crouched beside a corroded signal terminal, patching leads from his wrist console into the wall. Powerline data bus is half fried, pulling low-band carrier signals, crosstalk on multiple foundation codes. Some of this is looping in languages I don't speak, and I speak 14. He tapped through a few audio pockets. One played faintly. "This is me. You're already here." Sable blinked. "I didn't record that." Talk was inspecting the structure above them. Ceiling panels with exposed reinforcement bars and rusted hydraulic seals. Engineering integrity looks 50 years old, but untouched. No battle damage, no breach. But some of these vent grates have been pushed through from the inside. He sniffed the air. Smells like burnt coolant and wet copper. I hate that. Corinne deployed a collapsible med station against the wall, running a full bioscan. Airborne densities high. Something's off-gassing. Compound unknown. Might explain the vitals drift I'm seeing. Harbour glanced toward the hallway. Rafe's feed still up? "Stable," replied Sable. "1 sec. Vitals lost. Comms inactive. No return ping." Her icon vanished. Not online. Absent. No last packet. No disconnect. "Reacquire it. Now," commanded Harbour. Meanwhile, Rafe moved like a phantom, sweeping corners with perfect rhythm, her suit filtering out particulate and warping EM feedback around her. The hallway narrowed ahead, pinched between collapsing support beams and frost-echoed walls. Her hood glitched, shimmered, then reset. Temperature drop, 5 Celsius in 2 seconds. She paused. The distortion field thickened, like static made solid. Her visor couldn't track range beyond 10 meters. Then, something moved. No heat signature, no motion track, but the light bent wrong just ahead, like space folded wrong direction and forgot to unfold. She stepped forward and vanished from the uplink. Sable. She's gone. No packet loss, no data to lose, just blank space. "That's not normal signal decay. That's artificial silence," said Corinne. Talk raised his weapon, eyes open. If she tripped something, it might be coming back the other way. Then it hit. Sound distortion, like all the air got sucked backward for half a second. Every comm line buzzed with full, null feedback. The lights overhead blinked twice, then returned. At that exact moment, Rafe stepped back into view. No sound, just there. Her visor was fogged on the inside. No hood data, no external readings. She walked forward like she'd never stopped moving, her expression blank beneath her mask. "Report. Where did you go?" said Harbour. Rafe paused, looked at him, then slowly turned her head, not toward Harbour, but over his shoulder, past him. "She's not alone," said Sable quietly. The team turned, weapons ready, but there was nothing. Just the helmet on the floor, cracked visor, still facing up, now full of fresh condensation.